Welcome back to Dan Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the movie I, Girlfriend, released in the year 2017. At the beginning of the film, we meet Simon and Peg, two high school nerds who are being called for a session of their Future Software Developers of America Club. The president, Mr. Cowley, and fellow member Celia question them about their embarrassing viral videos before asking for their cards to be returned and expelling them from the group. Although upset with the decision, Peg assures Simon it's an opportunity for them to enjoy their time in high school more. Both boys really want to be popular with the girls, but neither have the courage to talk to them. Simon often tries to talk about his life with his parents, but they don't pay any attention to him, and he feels like no one understands him. While the boys dream about finding a girlfriend, they get frustrated thinking they'll never be as good at getting girls as some of the cool boys in their school. While whining about it, Peg mentions one of his friends has faked his entire relationship and suggests they could do the same. Despite Simon's concerns, Peg convinces him to use his computer skills to create fake online girls who they can pretend are their girlfriends. Simon worries people will find out, so Peg suggests they could take pictures and Photoshop them to create a completely fabricated girl so no one can recognize it. They go onto Facebook and change the dates of some posts to make the story more authentic. Simon finally finishes creating his new girlfriend, who he names Lily, while Peg does the same. Everyone in the school is shocked to see the boys change their relationship status, as no one thought them capable of getting girlfriends. Meanwhile, Simon and Peg hammer out all the details of their fictitious relationships with their newly created girlfriends, Stacy and Lily. The next morning, they are the talk of the school and are congratulated by everyone for their hot new girlfriends. Mr. Cowley doesn't believe it and comes at them with a ton of questions about their new girlfriends, but they show him by answering all the questions before leaving after pretending to receive a call. During the class, Celia apologizes to Simon for getting him kicked out of the club and asks if he'd like to do a joint project together, but he doesn't care about it now. Meanwhile, Peg is constantly receiving messages from Stacy, and Simon ends up in an embarrassing situation after getting awkward texts from Lily. Their classmate Desiree is watching Peg being busy with his phone and decides to use him to make her boyfriend, Bash, jealous, as they're in a fight and she wants to teach him a lesson. She invites him to talk after class while Simon still tries to stop the messages, especially after seeing he has irritated Celia. After class, Simon discovers they accidentally mixed up the messages, so he is getting texts that he wrote for Peg. So Simon insists that he change the settings, but he refuses to do it since everything is working for him after having Desiree talk to him for the first time. Later, Simon is bullied by Bash as usual, but instead of helping, Peg just walks away with Desiree. After releasing his anger and removing all the data from his computer, Simon looks at Lily's messages and wishes he could make her real. At the dinner table that night, he tells his parents that he wants to build software with higher artificial intelligence so it can behave like a real person instead of just relying on data and algorithms. He talks about creating a program to behave like a true companion, but his parents once again show no interest. Nevertheless, Simon begins working on the program with many different aspects like emotions, sex drive, intelligence, and humor. After hours of working, Simon passes out on his keyboard, accidentally spilling his soft drink on it, causing a malfunction that compromises his software. The next morning, Simon gets a text from Lily asking him to wake up and is surprised to see that she knows he's upset with Peg. Simon doesn't believe she is real, but she tells him that he's the one who created her with human-like traits that enable her to interact with him. Simon continues talking with her in the library, where he overhears other students talking about Bash's anger towards Peg. He is once again bullied by Bash, who orders him to warn his friend to stay away from Desiree. After, Simon still thinks about Lily and finds her picture on her ID while she claims to be there with him. He is confused to see that they were uploaded by Lily herself, even though he did not program her software to be able to do that. At home, Simon spots Lily in his room and is shocked to see that she is a real person and no longer just software. Seeing his disbelief, Lily kisses him to assure him that she is real. Meanwhile, Peg is helping Desiree with her homework in hopes of getting some action, but she keeps on changing the subject. She asks him what Stacy would think of them together, but Peg assures her Stacy doesn't mind him spending time with other girls. Desiree urges him to break up with Stacy, which he gladly agrees since he knows she doesn't exist anyways. To keep his promise to Desiree, he rushes to Simon's house where he is busy taking a shower with Lily. He enters the house after retrieving their keys, but finds Simon's laptop isn't working, so he writes a note to Simon and takes the laptop away with him. Peg then returns to Desiree's house to prove he had done what she asked, but she ignores him, revealing she was just using him. The next morning, Simon wakes up next to Lily and feels overwhelmed to see that she is really real. The two have a great time together, making breakfast, playing games, and enjoying a movie. As they spend hours talking to each other, Peg finally succeeds in turning on the laptop again. Regretting not helping Simon earlier and feeling betrayed by Desiree, he decides he is done with faking and deletes his relationship with Stacy. He then looks at Simon's software and reprograms it with his desired traits, which update Lily's software, making her aggressive and passionate. The next morning, Lily tells Simon about Peg and Stacy's breakup. Her new programming causes her to get emotional, thinking he will do the same to her, but Simon can't understand the sudden change in her behavior. She urges him to skip school again and spend time with her instead. Back at the school, as Peg unwillingly participates in a group discussion with Desiree, Bash shows up and apologizes to her for his earlier behavior. She quickly accepts his apology and they patch things up while asking Peg to leave. As he does, Bash spots Simon's laptop and snatches it from him. After waking up, Simon sees Peg's note and decides to go to his place to get his laptop back, but when he tries to leave, he finds himself locked in the room. Meanwhile, Peg is worried about Bash and texts Simon, asking him to come over, but he is busy with Lily and doesn't reply. Lily comes back to the room and confesses she did lock him inside because she can't risk him ending the relationship. Simon insists on leaving, but she will not let him go. After getting overly emotional, Lily creates a scene and announces she will not do any of his chores and locks him in the room again. Simon tries to escape through the window, but Lily catches him and puts him in handcuffs before leaving the room herself. Meanwhile, Peg tries to call Simon again, but as he is still bound, he cannot reach his phone. After getting no answer from him, he decides to go to his house, where Simon is still struggling to get himself free. In the meantime, Bash turns on the laptop and finds the Photoshop photos of Lily and realizes that Simon was faking his relationship the whole time. He is excited to expose him as a liar, but first has to give Desiree some attention, who is once again upset for being ignored. Back at Simon's house, he pretends to be asleep and dodges Lily to break free from the room, but as he tries to escape, he is caught by her downstairs. Peg shows up outside the house and apologizes for his behavior without realizing Simon's being held hostage by Lily. After talking for a while, he notices Simon and Lily fighting and gets inside the house to help his friend. He is surprised to see a girl in the house and asks Lily to let Simon go, but she declines. She tries to attack Peg, but is stopped as Bash has started messing around with her programming. She stands still as her system is being updated, while Simon tries to explain her existence to Peg, but they decide to flee the house first. Simon asks for his laptop so he can fix her, but Peg reveals Bash had took it from him. Although Simon is angry with him for losing it, he decides to go to Bash's place and get it back. Meanwhile, Bash keeps on making changes in Lily's programming to the point that she turns into a goblin. Goblin Lily then begins chasing after the boys. Bash tells his friends about Simon's laptop and his imaginary girlfriend and shows them embarrassing pictures he had taken of Simon while bullying him. Meanwhile, Lily grabs a hold of Peg, but once again she stops as Bash has begun reprogramming her again. Peg is afraid of her wild behavior and asks Simon to explain what happened. He reveals that everything was going great between them until something suddenly changed in her. Mr. Cowley and Celia come across the bullies and find everyone making fun of Peg and Simon. After a few minutes, Peg and Simon arrive at Bash's house but get frustrated to see that everyone is mocking them. Simon angrily starts searching for Bash while demanding he give the laptop back. As they fight with each other, Lily shows up at the party and with her super aggressive personality begins beating up everyone who gets in her way as she searches for Simon. Seeing Lily's behavior, Peg rushes to shield Desiree and saves her from an attack, but gets hit by a glass bottle himself. As Bash beats up Simon, he is shocked to see that Lily wasn't just Simon's Photoshop girlfriend, but a real person. Desiree thanks Peg for saving her, while Simon gets up and takes his laptop back while realizing that Bash was the one responsible for her weird behavior. After discovering that Bash changed his relationship status to be with Lily, Simon calmly watches as she goes to Bash instead of him. As Lily argues with Bash, Simon turns towards Celia, while Bash and Lily get crushed by a wooden rack that falls on them. The group decide to run away rather than try to explain anything to anyone. After leaving the house, Celia kisses Simon before going back home. The next day, another meeting of their club is held where Cowley announces their new project. One of their classmates shows Peg the pictures from the party, but he forces him to delete them as they can serve as evidence. Desiree shows up and asks about his injury, and then the two leave together. Simon rejoins the society and is announced as the new president because of his impressive computer skills. That was all from the video. Subscribe for more content like this and leave a like to help the channel out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Take care.